Okay, appreciate it. Good morning. Well, we are excited to be back home, that's for sure. A couple games on the road, and good to get back in the Valley. Really going to need our crowd. This is, we've been unbelievable all year with the type of crowd that we've had and this type of support. I think our crowd has made a huge difference for us, and as they do every year, and certainly going to need them again this week with this bunch. And as Ross mentioned, I'm excited about honoring Bobby Bowden, and just, all that he meant to this league, the game of football, so many young people, Florida State, and this game, the Clemson Florida State game. So, a lot of great moments with Coach Bowden roaming the sidelines down there. So have so much respect, for him. I learned a lot from him, and certainly his family. And then also it's the first game that Tommy Bowden is going to be back. He's not been to a game here since he left, and I think it's a good opportunity to recognize and also show appreciation for all that he did for Clemson, when he was here as well. And so look forward to seeing him, and again, just, have an opportunity to honor the Bowdens there. And it's our breast cancer awareness game. It's something that we always look forward to. We get excited about. Our foundation, it's a huge part of what we do. And really appreciate WCCP and the Tigers for Tatas campaign and all that y'all do to help the cause. It's truly saved lives, impacted people's lives, and so I think I'm coming to hang out with Qualk and Kelly tomorrow at Bojangles, I think. So look forward to coming over for that. And but appreciate all the support in the campaign this week and making a difference. Injury-wise, it's pretty well documented what we've dealt with this year. Really crazy, and we do hope to get at least 3 guys back. We feel like we're going to have Rayburn and Ngata and EJ, which is huge for us, especially coming off of last week. So, still not sure about Jake Venables. I'd say he's probably going to be, close, but may not know for sure till game time on him. But we giveth and taketh. So we're going to lose another guy this week. Unfortunately, Kobe Pace is going to be out. He's going to be in COVID protocol, so we'll have to go without him. So thankful that we got Shipley back last week, and we'll go with the 2 freshmen and Rencher will be our 3 running backs going into the game. So. Again, just been a kind of a crazy year from some of those challenges, but excited to see those other guys, take advantage of the opportunity. And as far as Florida State, really impressed with what they've done. Obviously, they started out 0-4, and I'm really impressed with what they've done. Number one, as a coaching staff, to be 0-4, I think it says a lot about what. Mike and the staff have done to create belief in their team and to keep them going. A couple of heartbreaking losses in those first 4, but they really have played a lot better these last 3. And I think this quarterback is the key. He has really settled them down. I think he's a very confident player. He's tough. You can tell he's a natural leader for them. Everybody believes in him. And he makes plays. I mean, he can beat you. He can flat out beat you by himself. They're doing a great job schematically and really, taking advantage of his gifts. And I mean, because he can throw the ball down the field, but man, he can just move. They get him out of the pocket a lot. They got some design runs. He's a great scrambler. He's created a lot of explosives. I mean, I think he's the leading rusher ever already at Florida State. And they've had some pretty good quarterbacks roll through there, as we know. So this kid is dangerous. He's hard to corral. Even when you blitz him, he makes people miss. And when you're playing man coverage and somebody misses, it's a huge play. You saw that in the Syracuse game at the very end. You know, he scrambles out and he's gone down the sideline, and they kick a game-winning field goal. But really, really impressed with their quarterback and then their running backs. I mean, you know, they're leading the nation in October in yards per carry, and both backs average over 7 yards a carry. So they're doing a great job with their run game and with the backs and the quarterback. And then probably the thing that's changed, really flipped the script for them, is the first 4 games they had 11 turnovers. And then in the last 3, they've had 3 turnovers. Usually kind of goes hand in hand. So doing a nice job. Again, you know, 13th in the nation in running the ball, and then the big plays, lots of big plays, huge, like monstrous, explosive big plays in the run game and a few in the passing game as well, that have come off their ability to run the ball. You know, the running back Zero, he's had 2 75-plus yard runs. He's the only back in the FBS to do that this year. So this is an explosive group that's playing with a lot of confidence. And we're gonna have to play really well. And for us, you know, it's just, you know, finding a way to win, and then you know, go from there. You know, focus on what we control. That's our preparation, our attitude, and how we finish from this point. And you know, good start yesterday, and excited about the challenge this week. And then again, just finish up on a couple things about the breast cancer. You know, 1 in 8 U.S. women will develop invasive breast cancer over their lifetime. And about 43,600 women in the United States are expected to die this year from breast cancer. And it is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among women in the state of South Carolina. So appreciate the support. And again, the Tigers for Tatas campaign and you know, helping continue to make a difference, you know, against this you know, horrible disease. So with that, I'll take your questions. And well, before I do that, let me talk about their defense. I got caught up in their quarterback. Their defense is playing very well. I thought they, early on in the season, gave up some big plays structurally. So much more discipline now structurally. Their defensive front's creating pressure. Number 11 is probably the best defensive end we've seen. You know, he is a great football player. He's playing with a lot of confidence. They're huge inside, big bodies. They've changed what they're doing structurally from the first couple of games, you know, to a little bit more of a split safety type of deal. I think that's helped them. And, you know, again, another really, really, you know, challenging group defensively, playing with a lot of confidence. And so it's a good football team across the board that's way better than their record, that's for sure. Any questions?
Coach, listening to Will Shipley yesterday, you can tell he's a young man who wants to be that guy to help his team get back on track. Do you have to manage just a little bit that he doesn't press too much to try to be that guy and stay within himself?
Say that one more time, the last part.
Do you have to manage that component that he doesn't press too much to try to be that guy to get this offense going?
No, I don't think so. I think he just needs to be who he is. You know, that's who he's always been, and you know, he's. I mean, what you see is what you get. I mean, he is a great young talent, and he's already unfortunately had to miss a couple games. But I mean, just the fact that he came back the way he came back, I mean, it's amazing. You know, how hard he worked to overcome an injury, and he plays with a lot of heart, a lot of passion, a lot of toughness. He's an explosive player, and you know, he's like a blade of grass from. And some of that, I think, is just being a freshman and really kind of really settling in to you know, where he is at this stage in his career. But I don't want to change anything about Will Shipley. I just want to be who he is and keep going. And, you know, obviously missed a big play last week, but, man, he's made some plays, and he's going to make a lot of them. He'll make a bunch of those throughout his career. But a great natural leader. And he and Maffa are that's two special freshmen right there, and that's a positive. You know, I know everybody focuses on all the the bad that's happening right now and the disappointment of where we are in this season right now. But we're actually doing some good things in a lot of areas. We're running the ball well. Those two kids have really taken advantage of their opportunities, and they're getting better and they're learning, and we got a really bright future. And obviously Kobe's a sophomore, and same thing with him. So we've got a good group there, and that has been a bright spot what those young guys are doing.
Dabo, like you said, there's a lot of bad that's happening now. Your words there, but like, what have you learned from the build-up to this season and this season that you think you can apply going forward?
Well, I mean, football's tough. I mean, there's some things that I think you just have reinforced. I mean, football's a tough game, and sometimes it can, you can have a year where you deal with a lot of craziness, and it's kind of our year when it comes to that. I've never had a year like this with the type of injuries that we've had ever. I mean, you got 14, 15 guys out for the year, and it's just crazy. And I'm not talking about just guys on the roster. I mean, these are players that would be traveling with us and playing and starting and being impactful. So I think it's been, I think, reinforcing, the little things that it takes to win, how hard it is to win, how small the margin for error is. And, this team, the margin's really small right now, and we're kind of on the wrong side of that margin, 3 times in position to win every game, every single game, it's right there. So I think, the biggest thing, again, is I think you have an opportunity to learn from the struggle. I mean, that's what you do. You teach, and we're getting a chance to teach a lot of great lessons to a lot of young kids in this team that are going to be back here, and we'll be able to, know what it feels like, to lose. We got a lot of guys coming in this season that really hadn't lost much at all, and so this has been a challenge for sure. But you got to embrace it, and you keep rolling, and you try to lean on the foundation of the program. You go back to the basics, which is effort, it's toughness, it's being physical, it's belief in yourself, it's belief in team, it's your routine, it's the preparation, it's details, it's fundamentals, it's technique. How important those things are when the margin for error is so small, and you're having to play. I mean, continuity is important. I said this last night. I mean, in 7 games, we've started 43 guys. In 7 games, 43 players. And last year in COVID, which is the craziest year we've all dealt with, we played 12 games. And, every week was, you were dealing with, all kind of different things. And we played 40 guys. We started 40 guys in 12 games. And then in 2018, that's a 15-0 team. We started 32 guys. And so continuity is very important in the game of football. And that's been something that's been we've had it on defense. We've had a guy just way more depth defensively, but we've played good defense. I thought that was our worst game the other night, but we've played good defense all year. Those guys have responded, and they've played well enough to be undefeated. Same thing with our special teams. But it takes a team, and we just haven't been where we need to be offensively. And we know what the issues are. We know what the problems are. We don't need anybody to let us know what the problem. We know. We're here every day. That's what we do, and we've been doing it for a long time at a very, very, high success rate. But I think, again, you lean on the foundation, and you do everything you can to develop the type of continuity that you need.
As you talk about that foundation, it sounds like Tyler and Trey really pushed through a lot to play last Saturday. How much do you hold that up as an example to everybody else and as evidence of that foundation that you're in?
It's important to them. It's important to these guys. There's nobody that cares more than these players. These guys invest a ton, man. Backhorse, he's been hurt for – man, that kid, as you talk about, give every ounce of everything he has and had to this program. We've had guys, E.J. Williams, same thing. He played hurt the first however many games out there, dragging his leg around, and we finally had to make him, get the surgery. And we've got a bunch of guys like that, man. I mean, tons of guys, because they care. It's important to them. They take pride in the Paul. They pride in this program. Everybody hurts. Tyler Davis, I mean, he was mad that he couldn't keep playing. We had him on a pitch count, and he ran out of pitches in the third quarter there, and we couldn't put him back in. But that was kind of where we were, and but he wasn't even going to play. And then Wednesday night, he's just, he wants to play. So they finally huddled up, and he talked his way into about 15 plays, I guess, or 15 to 20 plays, and that was it. But it's important to him. I mean, it really is. Same thing with Shipley. I mean, we've got guys all across the board. Those linebackers, those guys are always beat up and banged up, and so it's a lot of positives. You guys care, and again, that's what you lean on in times like there's a foundation here. We're not trying to build a foundation. There is a foundation here that is well established, and that's what you go back to. When you're dealing with something like this, and we'll get through it. It'll make us better. Again, as I said, struggle makes you strain, and when you strain, you get strong, and we'll be stronger from what we're dealing with this season. We're going to be stronger this year, and we got a lot of ball left. Season ain't over. First of all, we're going to go fight every step of the way. But no matter what happens and how we finish, man, we got a lot of unbelievable moments ahead. This is one season in the midst of an incredible journey. We've had 13 years of a great journey. Some of the, as good a journey as there's been in college football ever. And there's a whole lot more to come. But in that 13 years, there's been seasons that were kind of, there were some moments along the way and a lot of success. And this is just one of those seasons. We got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. I'm a better coach now than I've ever been. That's for sure. I'm a whole lot better coach now than I was when I started. Our staff's better now than we've ever been. And we'll get it back on track and where we need to be. It'll make us better. We'll look back on it, hopefully at the end of this year or next year or 5 years from now, and say, man, that was a moment in the midst of a great journey. It's not. I'm 51 years old. I got a long way to go. I got hopefully another 20 years or so of work. So hopefully we can pick ourselves up from this and learn from it and get better. And that's what winners do. So I always tell tough. They always say tough times don't last. Tough people do. The future belongs to those who hang tough. You just you hang tough. You deal with it and you learn from it. And I actually love it. I think it's a great opportunity for us to really grow. You're walking off the field and you probably got about 2,000 people chanting in unison that DJ stinks. Not necessarily the word they use, but that's great for that kid. That's great for him, because that's welcome to this world, And if you're the head coach or you're the quarterback, you're gonna get way too much credit and too much blame too, But that comes with it, and you've got to learn how to embrace that. And I think it's good for him, because it's gonna. He's had a lot of success his whole life, and it's just the way it is. You win a game. I remember we won the national championship. I must have had. It took me a month to reply to all the text messages. A month. Just to give him a fist pump. A month. Fist pump. You lose one, you got 5 text messages. You got your mom, you got your best friend from high school, got my 5th grade teacher, got the preacher. It takes about 10 minutes. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. People have very short memories, but that's what makes this level a lot of fun. And you gotta take the good with the bad, and sometimes you got to go through some of that to really have the right type of perspective, and prepare yourself for the future and all that's coming. So we'll get better from it. We'll get better from it. As I said the other night, and it's God is good at 15-0, and He's just as good at 4-3, and that's just how I look at it. And every time that I've been in the pit of anything, like, I always, God's always been up to something, and I can always look back somewhere down the road, and I can very clearly see necessary growing pains, and that's kind of where we are. So it's been a year of struggle, a year of transition, a year of disappointment, frustration, all that stuff. But and there'll be some good things spring out of it for sure.
Dabo, how did the Bobby Bowden tribute kind of come about, and then I guess what does he kind of mean to you?
Just obviously his passing, and just the right time to honor him. I'm the luckiest coach in America, honestly, because I got to be impacted by such great coaches through other coaches. And as I've said many times, I spent 7 years with Coach Stallings, and he had two bosses in his whole coaching career. That was Tom Landry and Bear Bryant. And so, I get 7 years with him, and a lifetime, really, because he's still in my life and is still a great mentor to me. And he was with Tom Landry for 14 years. He played for Coach Bryant. He coached for Coach Bryant, and the influence of them through him and what I was able to learn. And then with Tommy Bowden, obviously his dad is Bobby Bowden. And, Bobby Bowden was one of those guys that there's people in life that you like, or you think you like, and sometimes you meet them and you're like, well, he's a jerk, or he's, whatever. But he was one of those guys, because I'd never met him until I came to Clemson. And I knew who he was and all that type of stuff, obviously, and it followed him forever. And he and my mom went to the same high school, and he's a Birmingham guy. And remember when all of it went down, whether or not he was maybe going to come be the coach at Alabama. I lived through that. But then I come to Clemson in 2003 because of Tommy, and I played for Tommy 1 year, and that was it. But then competed against him as a player when he was then at Auburn, and then recruiting, and then I'm coaching at Alabama after I'm playing, and see him, and so I always had a professional relationship. And so when I come to Clemson in 2003, that was one of the things I was really looking forward to be honest with you, was like, man, I'm going to get a chance to meet Bobby Bowden. And I'll never forget that 2003 game, ever. I was like, that's Bobby Bowden, and I just kind of thought it was cool that, this was his dad. And I was, knew I was going to, and we'd jog, and I would always ask questions about him and things like that. But so obviously I learned a lot from Bobby Bowden through Tommy, because that was Tommy's mentor, and his whole life is not just his father, but his mentor as a professional, and what a great mentor to have. So I learned a lot from him, and so got to meet him. And then, my very first time to really get a chance to be with him was on a recruiting trip with Coach Bowden, with Tommy. We went down, I was actually recruiting DeAndre McDaniel, and we go down there, and we had some downtime, like between the school, and maybe we were going to a basketball game that night or something, and he's just, I'll never forget it. It was one of the weirdest moments for me, it's my, I'd been here a couple years now, and he's like, let's go. Yeah, we got some time. Let's run over and see Daddy. And I'm like, okay, how's this going to go down? Like, this is going to be, I can't wait to see how this is, we're decked out in our Clemson stuff. And we just walk over there. We walk right into the Florida State, building. And I guess it'd be like, one of our kids walking in here now. We just walk over there, and everybody says, hey, and we just keep walking. And he just walks right in and say, hey, is Dad in here? And she's like, oh, yeah, he's in there. And I'll never forget. And I'm just like, this is happening. We're walking. This is Bobby Bowden. And we walk in the office, and I'll never forget it. He's sitting over there, and he's got his feet kicked up. And he had his desk was here, and he had his TV right here. And his feet are kicked up, and he's watching tape. And we just bust in, you know. And he's like, hey, you know, and he looks up and he goes, oh, hey, boy, what are you doing here? And they were, I'm pretty sure they were getting ready to play West Virginia in a bowl game. It was like in December time. And he's sitting there watching some West Virginia tape. And so we sit down, and he's like, hey, you remember Dabo here, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, hey, boy. And so we're talking for a few minutes. Well, then we literally are sitting there, and then Tommy, you know, he didn't ever really sit still much anyway. And so he goes, hey, I'm going to run down here and see what everybody's doing. And so he gets up, and he goes, you stay here. And he leaves. And he went down, I guess, to the staff rooms or whatever to say hey to everybody. So he's gone. And so now here I am. I'm sitting here, and it's me and Bobby Bowden. And I've only had, like, very small, like, how you doing, sir? Nice to meet you, you know, type of talk. And next thing I know, I'm sitting here, and I'm just hanging out with Bobby Bowden. And he just starts to tell, hey, boy, now tell me where you from again. I said, well, I'm from Pelham. And he's like, oh, yes, right. Hey, I know the mayor down there at Pelham. And then we just start talking, and told him my mom went to Woodlawn. And we just get going back and forth. And Tommy's gone probably 20 minutes. And I'm just sitting there. But my point is, when I met him, like I already had a high respect for him and high thoughts of him. But when I met him, he even far exceeded, you know, who he was. He's a very kind man. He was a very kind man. He loved his players. He loved Florida State. And I think he's a coach that truly knew his calling and his purpose. And you know, I had also a lot of respect because he was a strong man of faith. And he's such a great example to all coaches out there. And I think he tried to live that. I mean, I think for him, yes, he won a lot of games, but I truly believe he cared more about the lives of his players than anything else. And he really, as a man of faith, his main objective was to make sure that Jesus was known, you know, and I think he tried to do that. And I think he tried to prepare his players for, as we say, the two most important days, today and that day. And I don't think he ever lost his purpose in that. Even though he had all the success, you know, national championships, incredible, whatever, I think he stayed true to what he was called to do. And he was a great father. He's an unbelievably devoted and loyal husband. He wore his faith on his sleeve, and he never was bashful about that. And he loved his players. So, you know, he's a good man, and again, somebody I had a ton of respect for. And then you know, when I got this job in 2008 in an interim, and you, some of y'all were around here, that was a tough, crazy moment. And one of the first persons to call me was Bobby Bowden. And his exact words were, hey, the Bowdens love you, and we're pulling for you. And, you know, he forgot that quickly a couple weeks later when he took us to the woodshed down there in Tallahassee. But all over through my career, even all the way up until, August, I've heard from Bobby Bowden via letter. Got a couple of letters in my office that I'm just like, man, I can't throw that away. That's a keeper. Voicemail or two where he's just called to encourage. He came up here, 2 years ago, I guess, and did our chapel. And he stood right here. I'll never forget it. This podium was over here, and he was on a cane, and we sat in my office for probably an hour. It was actually breast cancer awareness game because I had a pink jacket on. And he was on a Friday, and we sat in my office for about an hour, and we just talked. And it was a unbelievable moment for me. He had a cane, and he was going to do the chapel. Terry was here at the time. He was going to do the chapel, and I'll never forget it. The team was in here, and this podium was over there. And he comes in here, and he kind of hobbles in here, hobbled in, and he's got his, he gets behind this chapel. This podium. He's kind of leaning on it for a second, and then all of a sudden, man, it's like he was 25 years ago. man, he just put that cane aside, and buddy, he walked out in front of his team, and he just took over the room. And he was 90. It was incredible to see that. And I just think because he was passionate about what he was talking about, and he was passionate about who he was talking to. He was passionate about that. And, so he won a lot of games, and he did a lot of things that people will remember, but it's the man he is, and the father, and, the person of faith that he was. And that's what I think is important about honoring Bobby Bowden.
Coach, what did you learn through his experience about how hard it is to maintain that high level that he's had and that you've had?
Well, there's very few people that do it, that can do it, that long. So it's hard, and I've been blessed because, I'm young, and we've had a lot of consistency and a lot of success. But I think what I've learned more than anything is keep the main thing. Have some structure that you believe in, and create continuity. I think that's important. And then just, be passionate about the little things. I think that's some of the main things that I learned from him. We've been an incredibly consistent program. We're going to stay a consistent program. I mean, I know some people that have written they've closing the book on it's over. Like the book of Clemson is done. See you in 30 years. Man, we're just getting started. So I think you got to reset every year, and that's what we've always tried to do. And you don't flinch. You don't get caught up in the outside. You stay focused, on what matters and what reality. You got to know reality from perception, and stay focused on that. But it's hard. There's not many. Programs out there that have been able to have the type of consistency that he had. Very few coaches that have longevity, especially today. They'll fire you in year one. They'll fire you in year two. It's just kind of the way it is. I think a different time back when he was coming along, but it's really, really hard. It's really hard to have great consistency. So to me, the mindset is, man, you got to always be building. You got to always, and I think that's what Coach Saban does a great job of at Alabama. You got to always be building. You always, always striving. You're always starting over. You're always resetting. You're always building. You don't want to. So that's kind of, I've had people ask me that. They'll say, is it harder to build it or sustain it? And I'm like, I don't know. We're still building. I think when you start having the mentality of you're trying to sustain something, you're already beat. You got to always be under construction.
You said you're planning on coaching. You want to coach 20 more years?
Well, how old's Nick? He's 70. I got a long way to go to catch him, man. I got a long way to go. Of course, he might still be coaching at 90. I know I'm not going to 90, but I got a long way to go. I figure, I got at least 20 more. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, last week you were talking about leadership, and it's got to be a team thing. Everybody on the field has to lead to a degree, but when you lose a guy like Matt Bockhorst, who's so vocal and has such a presence, do you need an individual person to step up, or is it?
I think we've got to do that as a staff. I think it's very important. Player leadership is always an aspect of every great team. But when you get in a situation like this, and you got a lot of players looking for leadership, looking for direction. Because there's just a lot of inexperience and a lot of guys that haven't really kind of been in a situation like this. So it's an opportunity for us to lead, and they've got to make the choice to follow and to listen, and to block out all the noise. And again, that's why this will be valuable for us as we continue our journey to many more great moments along the way. This will be valuable for a lot of these young kids. We got a very talented group. We got a very talented, young group on this team that's just going to get better. I promise you.
Kind of along the same lines, just with some of the mental mistakes and then lack of confidence at times, how do you try to build guys up and kind of toe that line between wanting to encourage but also correcting?
Yeah, well, I think you just gotta keep swinging that hammer, man. I mean, you just got to keep at it. You just can't grow weary from it. You got to keep showing them, keep reinforcing it. Catch them doing something good. Not just something bad. All those things, and practice. I mean, and then eventually they need a little success. Just need a little bit of success, and that'll get us in the right direction. But you have to correct and you have to challenge, but you gotta catch them doing something good too. And there's a lot of good things happening. It's just not collectively, as a group what we need, and we haven't been opportunistic. We just haven't. We got to win the turnover margin. We've had unbelievable opportunities, and we've not been opportunistic. You can just take, 8 plays in the game the other night. I mean, just don't change anything. You leave everything the same, but, we miss a post throw for a touchdown. The kid's wide open to Bo. I mean, you can't get it. He ran a great route. Can't be any more open, and, we throw the ball a little late, a little short, and back. And he's got to kind of stop and allows the guy. I mean, that's an opportunity, and we keep the drive going. We get the ball down to the 25 and first down. We got a little play action play, and they bring in field pressure, and I thought we could have sat in there and probably still made the throw, but we kind of flushed out a little quick and tried to force one on the sideline to Justin. Just throw the ball away, right? In a second, we're going to get points. We're going to at least get a field goal, and opportunity, right there. And then we score a touchdown, and but then we come back another play, and we got a 63-yard touchdown dialed up, and make great, unbelievable protection, beautiful throw, and we don't make the play. So we've got to be a little more opportunistic because we don't have that kind of room for error right now, and then obviously the shovel 6, those are. So you miss 2 scoring opportunities on that first drive there, second drive there, and then the touchdown drop. Those are 2 scoring opportunities that are there, and we're just not very opportunistic. And then the shovel 6 was a very critical play in the game, for sure, with a good drive going. And then defensively, we have the 3rd and 7. Big play touchdown, great play, great coverage, unbelievable throw, great catch. That's football. We have a huge bust on the throwback. That was a big play bust. That's 2 plays. And then you got 2nd and 18, and we get a really critical penalty. Critical, which leads to 4th and 5, and we probably didn't put them in the best scenario right there, but it's a touchdown with 40 seconds, and if you hold them to a field goal right there, and they weren't even in field goal run, but if you hold them to a field, it's 10-7 at the half, and so I mean those are we're just not very opportunistic right now, but that'll turn, and then we lose the turnover margin, and it's hard to. It's just that's a tough area for us. We won 2 in a row. We won the turnover margin twice in a row. Critical penalties. Is something that has hurt us a little bit too. So, but we'll battle through it.
How different do you have to coach a young team, a young offense like this, as opposed to the last few years when you had?
Very different, because you're dealing with some basics, some very basics, especially with some of the things we're doing out at receiver. And last week, we had a Joe who's basically a freshman. And Bo, who I love and who's getting better, and you had Justin, and so just Dakari's a true freshman. That's what we got. So last year we had a 5th-year guy and a 4th-year guy, and a quarterback that's the first pick in the draft that's very, very experienced, and it's different conversations. 5 offensive linemen with a lot of continuity. But that's where we are. So, but they're going to get it because we got good kids. We got good kids. And, the injuries have been a problem because we got a lot of guys that are missing some opportunity. Taquan would have helped us. John Williams would have helped us. Dietrich would have had a chance, I think, to be a starter for us. What a talented freshman he is. And so it's unfortunate that those guys haven't been able to get the work. But these young guys, man, Marcus Tate, hey, he's going to be special. T.O.'s getting better. Rayburn, redshirt sophomore, starting to really come on for us. Trotter's doing some good things. McFadden's had a great year. He's had a great year. He really has. Proud of him. Walker Parks, I thought he did not play well against, Syracuse. But man, he bounced back, and he's had a very solid year as well. He's a young sophomore, first-year starter. So we've got some good things happening, but as far as how you coach them, I mean, it's the very basics of their position and the basics of what we do on offense.
Dabo, you've spoken so much about the youth of this team. So many of these guys have grown up. The guys you're counting on, so many of them have grown up really only associating Clemson with dominance and success. Do you think some of that plays into them pressing on the field at all?
Sure, yeah, because it's a lot of outside noise out there, and it's tough on these guys. But that's part of learning and part of growing too. As I said, I mean, you almost have to relearn how to win. In some, we have a plan to win. Well, I guess they take it out of here, but it's we have a plan to win, and learning how to execute that plan to win. And how important the little things are, but that's our job as coaches, is just teaching those things and instilling those things in the proper way. And sometimes the best way to learn is you got to touch the stove. Sometimes that's the best way to learn.
I think Makuba only played 12 snaps last week. Was there anything going on injury-wise or anything?
No, just kind of I think where, Jalen Phillips has really improved, Mickens has really improved, and just kind of how the game worked out. But man, there's a true freshman that's got a really, really bright future ahead, and I'm excited about what we're doing for the most part on the back end. I think we've done some good things, for the majority of the year. And again, defensively, wasn't our best game the other night, but 20 points is plenty enough to win. I mean, we just haven't been able to get it done on offense. It's simple as that.
On the deep to intermediate throws, is DJ missing those in practice, or is that something simply not being executed in the game?
Well, he's hit a bunch of them, and we haven't caught them. It's not all on DJ. I mean, he's certainly missed his share, and has, not trying to create an illusion that he's up for the Davy O'Brien. He's not played anywhere near as well as we need him to play, or he's going to play. He's had some really good moments, but we haven't been consistent enough around him either. He hasn't been consistent enough, and we haven't been consistent enough around him anywhere. The good news is where we struggled early, running the ball, we've turned a corner there. We've made a lot of improvement, and so I'm pleased with that. And that has created some opportunities in the passing game. We just, as I said, have not been very opportunistic, and and it's not what I've seen in practice. We just haven't quite carried it to the game day yet, to the field, but eventually it'll happen. And some of that has been continuity. Again, DJ and really trusting what's up front, and he's had 3 different centers, and so I think he's been affected by that. He's been affected by disappointment. He's been affected by just the transition and all. It's it comes with it, but he'll be just fine. He'll be just fine.
Dabo, you mentioned the outside noise and people yelling at DJ. When you've been out and about recently in the Clemson metro area, have you experienced?
Well, people don't want to make eye contact with me, man. It's like I got the plague or something. Man, I'm getting a lot of praying for you text. I got people dropping random letters in my mailbox at home. I mean, it's I got a lot of. I'm hearing from people that that I hadn't heard from in a long time. Hey, you know who you are. You stay true. I mean, I'm getting a lot of those. So, yeah, it's like you got a stink on you. Nobody wants to be around you. I got a lot of people, but we're gonna be fine. I promise you. I promise you. I appreciate that though. But.
Coach Norvell buried the hatchet. What happened?
I didn't know. I don't know. I don't never know of a hatchet. I've talked to him many times, whether it be on conference calls or saw him at Coach Bowden's funeral. And I will say this: he's done a great job, man. He's done a really good job holding it together. Really challenging situation that he took over there, and not only taking over a challenging situation, but it's COVID as well, and kind of the challenges of the year. But they've done a good job, and against they've had different personnel, but really settle in on this quarterback and really scheming their offense, and tailoring it to what fits their personnel and using it in a very good way. So I think they've done a great job. Defense is playing well, playing with a lot of passion. They're playing with great effort. And again, two heartbreaking losses. But I think he's gotten some good players in there. I mean, personnel-wise, they had a lot of holes, lots of holes. A lot of guys had transferred, et cetera. And so they brought in some good transfer guys that have been able to help them, along with their signing class as well. And so I think they've done a nice job.
Do you notice maybe not as many after the whistle antics and things like that you might have seen in years past? Like, can you see that culture taking root?
I just see a team that hasn't quit, and I think that says all you need to know. I mean, 0-4 and some heartbreaking losses, and there is no established, you're just getting there and really you've just had your first off season, your first summer, because you didn't get any of that in 20. I think all you need to know about what they're doing is how these kids have responded, because they have not quit and they've competed their butts off and they're playing with some confidence. And, I think that's all you need to know. That 11 turnovers in the first 4 games, 3 in the last 3. I think they've got it going in a good direction.
Dabo, how have you seen DJ respond in the last couple of days since you essentially announced the quarterback competition was over?
He's been great. That was the one disappointment, and one of the disappointments in the game the other night is he didn't get a chance to go back in, because I loved how he responded. He didn't pout 1 second, and not only that, he went when he did go back in, we went right down the field and scored. And we just didn't get the ball back to have another shot. I would have liked to have seen it. Let's get the ball and 10-point game with 5 minutes or whatever, and let's see how he handles that situation. But it wasn't to be. But I was proud of how he responded, and he's been DJ's he gets it, and he's a very self-aware kid. He's very conscientious, and I promise you he cares a bunch, and he's got to get better, and we all got to get better to help him. And he's gonna have a lot more good days than he has bad days when it's all said and done.
Dabo, when Tyler had his surgery, you said he could be out maybe 7-8 weeks. I mean, what just has his recovery been like? When did you first know you might be able to get him back sooner?
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I didn't really expect him to be back. I thought maybe Louisville was what I was kind of hoping for. If not Louisville, definitely by Wake Forest. That was kind of what was in my mind. But he's just nothing surprises me with Tyler Davis. I mean that kid is so passionate about playing, and he and Brzee are the same way. When it comes to just their love of the game, their love of the details of the game, and Brian's doing well, also. But I was like, really? Because I thought we would get him this week for sure. when I was in here last Tuesday, I'm like, he's probably not going to be ready this week. We're going to get him. But then he goes out there and did a little bit more on Tuesday, and then, Wednesday night, they're coming to me and saying, hey, he's because I'm trying to set the travel roster, and I don't have him on it. And, so they've got a full-out campaign to get him on the plane, between him and his dad and the doctors and everybody, the defensive staff. And so anyway, that was kind of how that all transpired. So that's just who he is. That's how he's wired. But proud of him and excited to see him have a little more opportunity this week. He's worked hard, and the doctors have done a good job. And they've got him in a thing where his arm can't, the bicep can't extend fully, so that helps him.
Go to a couple questions from Zoom.
Zoom is asleep today. They gave up. They're done. They said 4-3. We'll see you next year. I will say this. Also a little bit of perspective for everybody, and again, this is a game, and it's tough when you're very passionate about something and you put so much in it, and you know how much people care, and you hate to disappoint people. That's a hard thing. But we get home the other night. I get a call early Sunday morning, and Landon Zander's house burned to the ground, and Landon was the only one in the house asleep. And we're really fortunate that he's still with us because he says he sleeps with a fan on, and the only reason he woke up is because the fire department had come, and I guess they turned the power off. And he said, and that woke him up. The fan wasn't on, and he wakes up, and there's just nothing but fire and smoke, and he literally kind of crawled and felt his way out. They didn't even know there was anybody in the house, but the house burned down, and but man, just y'all keep the Zanders family in your thoughts and prayers, and thankfully nobody was hurt, and they've got insurance and all that stuff, and Landon said he thinks it came from a fire pit. I guess it was a windy night, and so also, if you got a fire pit, make sure that thing is out, fully. But so a little bit of perspective and gratefulness that the Zanders family's okay.
Was that his family?
Yeah, his dad's house. He was with his dad.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.